Thank you for tuning in to Cop with Comic. I'm Brian Koppen, and we're here with comic Rebecca Kaplan. Rebecca Kaplan, how the hell are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, good. Thank you so much for coming on. And you have tons of stuff. You've been busy during the quarantine.
Oh, so busy.
So busy. And I know I follow you across social platforms. You're Rebecca T. Kaplan and even on YouTube, but Instagram and Twitter as far as social. But your projects are just interesting. You have Love at First Skype, which is a YouTube series. And I love that it's what's improvised Zoom dates. But is it with comics? Like it says staged improvised Zoom dates. So who is going on these improvised Zoom dates? Are they comedians?
Um, yeah, it's like mostly stand-up comics right now, but I've been also getting people with like sketch or improv experience.
Good. Because they're the ones who are going to make it hilarious, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think not every stand-up comedian is like good at improvising, but some are.
Yeah, you just have to find the people who can riff with other comedians, and so. But I mean, you're on a bunch of shows, so you must know by now who are the stand-ups who can riff.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I've been very blessed with the talented people who have been willing to do that project.
Yes. And so, yeah, what are some of the episodes? Who are some of the people that were on episodes that turned out super good? If somebody wants the entree into this series, who are some names I should look for on the YouTube channel?
Um, Usama Siddiqui was great.
Yeah. He's a big old name, so it does not surprise me that he would be hilarious. But I also see former guests. I see Adam Mueller. I see Ronnie Pascal. These people are hilarious. I can vouch. And then let's see who else you have on here. You just fucking funny motherfuckers from the scene. It's good to see these familiar faces because I know these are the names in quality. These are the names in comedy to trust with riffing a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, are
Yeah.
you on any of these dates? Or are you kind of hosting it?
Um, yeah, I mean, I've been doing it with like men acting across from me. But I also have been trying to get some women to record their own episode and then send me the file so I would edit it. So far, I haven't. I mean, I don't know. I think this is like a bad time right at this moment because the city is open a little bit again. So I think like people are more busy than they were like in March and April.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess I'm presuming that this was kind of something that was going on before, and so you have all these in-person episodes with dates at restaurants. But it looks like this kind of happened during the quarantine, and so I'm seeing Ronnie Pascal's face, and it's as if that's it. That's kind of the hook where the date is being conducted as if it were like a Zoom date.
Yeah, like the premise of the series is just like it's quarantine and everybody is trying to get to know each other over Zoom, which is like an inherently like weird and awkward platform.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah, I do not envy the people who are dating right now. That's pretty I don't date even in the even in the best circumstances, so I can't imagine in the worst, even more awkward situation. But it probably leads to some laughs though, right?
Yeah, it certainly um it's definitely like there is some funny like somebody that was on one of the things he was like what does your hair smell like, and it's like, oh yeah, you can't smell people over Zoom.
Yeah. I fucking love that, man. What does your hair smell like? That's fucking cool. And so that's something that you probably could sniff surreptitiously if it were a real in-person date. So it's funny that a comic would ask that or whatever. But it's also you have a bunch of other stuff too. You got Teach Me a Skill podcast. I love that. And so it's something that you challenge them to come on and teach you a skill, but it's something that has to be done without computers. And so kind of how are you doing that during the quarantine?
We're just recording over Zoom,
Okay.
and like I had Alex Gardez come on and teach me some beginning French. I had Ariel Dundas teach me how to like knit.
Yeah,
Um,
I had her on earlier. She was totally hilarious. So it's cool you had Ariel Dundas on.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I love that we're drawn from the same crowd because these are the people who are just fucking, just being hilarious, and they need an outlet for their hilarity during the quarantine. So it's good that Rebecca T. Kaplan is kind of responsible for a huge number of these projects.
Yeah, I mean, I like giving good people opportunities to like showcase their talents.
Yeah,
Where,
and they're doing that in Glass House's comedy too, because that's your weekly Zoom stand-up comedy show.
yeah, right. So that's cool because it lets I like kind of pick my favorite like of the my favorite like New York comics, and people from all over the country have been like tuning in to watch.
Wow,
Um,
cool. And then are you getting comedians from kind of across the country too, or are you doing New York City comedians and it's just reaching a pretty national or international audience?
yeah, I mean, probably like 90% of the people I'm booking are based in New York just because like that's the majority of people that I know, but I am
Yeah.
also getting some international, I mean, sorry, cross country people.
Yeah, and even seeing some of the podcast stats, it's so funny to see some of these people, in a different country, and some of the people in these states are pretty regular. Like, I got listeners in Washington, Virginia. I didn't know that was a place. Sorry for insulting you guys, but there's I think at least more than one people who are listening to this thing pretty religiously. So it's kind of neat to see, Koppen with Comic is reaching Northern California. Who knew?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and so are you able to kind of see some of I guess this is all via kind of Zoom and things like that. Are you able to see your stats? Like, are you able to, I guess you probably can see some of these things via the Zoom windows, but how are you kind of learning that some of the people are kind of tuning in from a different part of the nation or world? Does that show up somewhere on their data or their screen?
Um, no, I mean, we've just been asking people, like, we start every show with like just chatting with the audience, and we just ask people, where are you tuning in from?
Oh, cool. Cool. But you've also been doing music video parodies. I love that you did Kesha. What was your experience of playing Kesha? Because she's pretty unique.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably like way more suited to my like skill set because I'm not a very good singer. Um,
And what
so
about a dancer? Are you a good Kesha caliber dancer?
absolutely not.
It's good to hear. That's the only video I want to see. Like, if you were really good at this kind of stuff, it's like, why don't I just watch Kesha? I don't know.
Yeah. No,
And so,
it's
yeah, what did you do? Like, how is parodying Kesha different from, parodying Katy Perry, which I think you've done too?
yeah, so I took like those two kind of like bouncy like party songs, like the Katy Perry one and the Kesha one, and I was just like, I'm gonna awkwardly sing this kind of off key and like just film myself kind of bopping around my like kitchen or like my office like in front of my laptop, and rewrite it to be like about isolating during the quarantine.
Yeah. So, I mean, is that I see that on YouTube and it has over 1,000 hits. And so, like, did you think it would be that big? And did you put it on other platforms to make it that big? Like, did you, kind of snip it so that could be on TikTok or Instagram streams
I
or
didn't
Reels, Instagram Reels, I think it's called.
I did not put that video on TikTok, which I guess I should have because it's like of the song TikTok, but I don't
Yeah, I
know.
think that's probably why it came to mind. But no, you didn't. It's just like somehow that video where you probably, blew it out your social media channels and people just caught on and shared it.
Um, yeah, I mean, I shared it like I put it on Instagram TV and on my social media. I think I don't know, people like that one, I guess, because it's like just so like incredibly like awkward and um I mean, I don't know. It's like hard to know like what's going to go viral or like whatnot. Not that 1,000 hits is going viral.
Yeah, for me that's pretty good. So it's all relative, I think. But like,
Yeah.
at what point did you think, I should embrace any awkwardness that I have instead of being like, I really got to practice really hard for this. This is just one is naturally more comedic, and that's where your instinct is to go for the laughs. You're not auditioning to be on the next big dancer in America's Got Talent.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like at the point that I shot that video, I had been before the pandemic, taking a singing class with a friend, and I was like, I kind of wanted to do like Rachel Bloom type stuff, and I was like, I should learn how to sing so that I could like do this. And then the class got like cut in half because of the pandemic, and I was like, fuck, like I have all this time now, and I still don't know how to sing. Um, then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking do it, you know?
And it worked.
Yeah. I mean, I think like if you're doing comedy, you don't necessarily need to sing like that well.
And yeah, and so what are some of the other places comedy has taken you as far as this video content? Like, I see song parodies. I see Cookies Are a Girl's Best Friend. Oh, I guess that's a parody of Diamonds Are a Girl's Best
Yeah.
Friend. But what was the Little Mermaid parody is also called Awake in That World. So is that quarantine related?
Yeah, so far I think they've all been kind of quarantine related. That one was just like part of your world, but I like rewrote it about like having terrible insomnia.
Ah. Is that something that's kind of been plaguing you during this because of anxiety or whatever?
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know why I can't. I think I have been perhaps a little on the manic side, like during the quarantine, but like having like a billion projects. So I've had like, a lot of nights where it's like 1 in the morning or like midnight, and I'm like, this is a good time to edit this video with Mike Kaplan. I'm going to start right now. And then it's like 3 hours later, and it's like, oh, it's 4 a.m. I should go to bed.
Yeah, and why can't I go to sleep on command? You're like, I have to get up in 3 hours for something else that I've scheduled. Why
Right.
can't I just go to sleep immediately when I've been manically been working on things?
Right.
It's like I think we're supposed to give ourselves time to kind of like come down or whatever, and I just never do. It's like I have a laptop on my chest, so the blue screen is 5 seconds from, 5 inches from my face for hours and hours, and it's like, why can't I go to bed? Right? I'm drinking Diet Sunkist all night with a bunch of caffeine. It's like, why can't I go to bed? This is awful. I got to get up and podcast tomorrow.
Right. Like it's caffeine is like a horrible drug because like when you're using it, you're just thinking, I need to be awake right now.
Yeah.
And then like hours later, you're like, oh, I also am awake now. Um, didn't think about this part. Me again, I think it's also like hard. I mean, I think part of like the reason why I got on a bad insomnia jag is like I've been spending like way more time inside and like not really having scheduled appointments. So I've like lost like all concept of time. So like
uh,
I've been like sometimes having coffee at like 8 p.m., not realizing that it was in fact 8 p.m. Um,
so we're kind of losing the world circadian rhythms or whatever. Like at the very least, we should walk outside once a day or something.
Yeah, I mean, on the other hand, it like doesn't, unless you have like a day job, it doesn't necessarily like matter that much if you're sleeping from like 4 in the morning till noon the next day.
Yeah. And are you worried that you'll get into certain habits that might be, kind of tough to let go of? And on the other side of the coin, now that you've starting been doing all this comedy content during quarantine, is it something that's kind of opened your eyes to the possibilities of things that you can keep doing after everybody kind of leaves the house?
Um, yeah, I mean, I've like been doing like sketch comedy videos since like I was doing that before quarantine,
Okay.
but I think definitely like until there's some kind of a vaccine that's like safe, I think I will focus more of my effort on digital comedy than stand up.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to die, and I also don't want to have a part in like spreading the disease more than possible. I
Yeah.
think if people are going want to go out to like see their friends, cool. For me, like going out to perform like indoor stand-up comedy seems irresponsible until there's a safe vaccine. But
Yeah, because there's going to be a lot of people laughing pretty loudly, and that's kind of where this airborne virus thrives. It's not so much it touching this surface or whatever. It's the fact that we're all in the same room and we're breathing the same air, and there's people who are laughing really loudly. Everybody's got their mouth open and taking deep, cleansing breaths so that they can laugh more at Rebecca Kaplan's next joke. I mean, that's just kind of where shit gets spread.
yeah, Right. There.
Did you ever think that making people laugh could kind of, cause your audience member to give a deadly virus to another audience member? It's like your skills could be used, for evil if you go out and make a whole room full of people laugh.
Yeah. Well, they do call a comedian doing well a killing. So there you go.
Thank you for that. I don't know if I've heard that yet. That's fucking cool. And then, and so what can you look forward to? Because you're going to be responsible and not do many indoor shows, like are you as fond of kind of outdoor shows? Have you been doing rooftops or parks or the Bel Air Diner?
Um, I am definitely not in a place where I would get booked at the Bel Air Diner, but
That's a big show, right? That's a
that
big
is
old show. Yeah, I had Kareem Green on. I was like, I can't believe you got on the Bel Air Diner, and I think it's a big NAACP sponsored show, and I think Monroe Martin is on it too. But have you been doing parks or rooftops?
um, I'm not really I think I'm gonna try to just stay inside until you know, until the pandemic is in a more like whatever spot. But
Yeah, because you'd have to, in certain situations, you have to shout your joke. Like I see one of your Instagram posts here. It looks like a recent show. It looks like it's outdoors. It was Matt Maron Comedy Fight NYC. You got a mask on?
yeah,
And so I
um,
guess that might not be rooftop, but it's outdoors. And so in certain, kind of socially responsible situations, you'll do it, provided there's a microphone. Because at some of these fucking Central Park shows, they're shouting their jokes, and that might. I think your energy might be one thing, and shouting out your jokes might take away from that hilarious energy, right?
yeah, the right. I feel like my comedy like is best with an amplification system. I'm a soft speaker at like the best of times.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love your voice, and you're incredibly well spoken. But yeah, I cannot, for some reason, I'm having difficulty kind of imagining you shouting, you
Yeah.
shouting your jokes. Like, could you write differently? Like, since you're writing for your current voice, like, could you write for shouting? How would that work out? I mean,
Yeah,
you've written Kesha parodies, so stranger things have happened.
I think if I were going to do outdoor comedy like with shouting, I would have to probably write a completely new set. Um,
It'd be a new character, though, a new facet of your
yeah,
persona. The woman who shouts. And it could be
right.
somebody oblivious to spreading the virus. One of the quarantine Karens that we've seen around.
Sure. I mean, it might. I mean, I could maybe do a thing about how I'm uncomfortable because I'm shy and I have to shout. But you know, I mean, I can shout. I just would rather not. And
Even that's hilarious. I love that.
I mean, it's kind of I also think that I've been like having like a decent amount of like I don't want to jinx myself, but I've been decently successful like with digital stuff and doing
Yeah.
Zoom. So I don't feel like, I'm not like dying to go back outside and do and like shout in the park and like learn how that works. Also, I think the outdoor comedy is like necessarily going to be short-lived because, nobody's going to be standing in Central Park shouting in a circle in December.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Ethan Victor recently said something funny like, I'm going to move to LA. That way I can do outdoor shows all year long. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is going to be pretty shitty when people are too cold or they're not ready to sit on the snow to see a
Yeah,
show of people shouting,
for
especially
sure.
when there's permit issues, etc. I think Eman Morgan had a problem with that. And I think even a local city council person apologized for the fact that the police kind of roused this wonderful stand-up New York comedy show just because of a lack of permit or something. And so, I mean, you're right. And the fact, like, I think one of the reasons I don't do stand-up comedy is because I don't want to fucking hustle around on trains to fucking far off places. And so now's the perfect opportunity to kind of get all your digital comedy out.
Right. Uh,
Yeah. And so, yeah, at what point did you start embracing that? Like, at what point did you be like, I really think it's not going to open up for a while. I'm not going to feel comfortable going out for a while. Let me start churning out the content. Like, did it take a while of even like realizing, oh shit, this is actually a pandemic that's serious? Or were you just kind of like, traumatized by the experience of the pandemic where you weren't feeling too creative?
No, I mean, I had the flu at like the very start of like the pandemic, like right before the lockdown. But as soon as I recovered from the flu, I started churning out digital content.
Good. Well, I mean, we can check it all. Like, when is everything released? I know you have the. Let me look at your YouTube channel, which is Rebecca Kaplan Comedy. It looks like your Love at First Skype is. It looks like it's. I mean, they were recently within 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and so yeah. How often are you releasing those, and how often is your comedy show? Kind of let us know what to expect next.
Um, yeah, I'm releasing the Love It for Skype like every other Wednesday, like one episode, and I'm doing my Zoom show every week on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And I don't know, I'm trying to like release like one other video on my YouTube channel like every week, be it my podcast or another video. And I'm also I'm tweeting a lot of like jokes on Twitter.
Yeah, yeah. Your engagement on Twitter. It looks like all of your followers, your thousands, your thousands of followers seem to be waiting on your hilarious tweets because the engagement on these tweets are pretty insane as far as retweets and likes.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I put like probably an embarrassing amount of like effort into getting that kind of following as a non,
Good.
but I mean, I don't know, maybe it's not embarrassing. Like maybe the payoff is like maybe my effort is like justified by the payoff. Who knows? Who
Yeah.
can
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my Lord. It looks like you are making a lot of people happy with your content because, they don't share something unless they're laughing their ass off. And one thing we didn't mention is the Furious Gazelle. You run a literary magazine. Like, are you also kind of writing and editing like poetry or short stories?
yeah, the literary magazine is something that I do like under a pen name.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I started it like in 2013 with a friend of mine, and at the time I don't know, I just wasn't like super happy with my own name, and I thought it would be cool to make up a new identity. But um, so I'm just kind of keeping that identity like separate from my comedy stuff for I don't know, no real reason, but
But it's
um,
it's it's okay to mention it here.
yeah, I think like as Rebecca Kaplan, I will tell people that I'm Tess Tabak, but as Tess Tabak, I don't know. I think Tess Tabak is a person that doesn't have any relation to me.
Well, Tess Tayback, I really hope that Brian Coppen's poetry is in the Halloween issue coming up because Brian Coppen writes some great poetry.
Oh, yeah, you should submit to our
Oh,
contest.
oh my gosh. Oh, we've been on the Barnes and Noble shelves and some of the best magazines there is. And one time we saw Val Kilmer at that Barnes and Noble and we're like, yeah, he probably read our poetry magazine.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so Google my stuff or I'll shoot you a link or I'll put it in the show notes because you said Tess Tayback, is that the name?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tess Tayback is gonna have to get a load of Brian Coppen, let me tell you.
Yeah, you should definitely. I'll email you if anybody listening wants to submit. You just go to thefuriousgazelle.com and go to our submissions page, and there's a link to our Halloween contest guidelines there.
And if you really want to curry favor with Tess Tayback, you say good things about Rebecca Kaplan's comedy, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
sure.
she's Rebecca. Yeah, Rebecca T. Kaplan across social, but she's also Rebecca Kaplan comedy on YouTube. Rebecca Kaplan, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.